welcome to the Sharpe Way Show. Yes, it is Monday, 7 p.m. on the East Coast. So guess what? You got to look at my mug. That's correct. You got to look at Larry Sharpe here. Monday, ask me anything. As always, please like, comment, and share. Let people know that we are here. Let people know that, look, how are we going to get around this media blockade we sometimes get, this blackout that we get? Let people know. Like, comment, share. It's free. But if you don't want to just do something free, I know, because you love me. I love you too. Head over to my Patreon account, patreon.com/sharpeway. Give what you can give the support, $10, $100 if you got those big dollars. I hope you're all super wealthy and you can throw me $100 a month. That'd be amazing if you can. Keep this show going. $10 is fine. But if you can't do that, no worries. This part's free. Head over to theadvocates.org. Take the world's smallest quiz. If you haven't, if you're already taken it, no worries. Share it with someone else. Have someone else take it. Still works, helps us, keeps my sponsors happy, and is free. So dollars or no dollars, you can still help the show. So thank you so much. Please like, comment, and share. The thing I want to bring up today, as I was watching TV a little bit this weekend, but I try to watch some local news here in New York City. And what I was seeing was heartbreaking. The things I was seeing was heartbreaking. Watching how New York City is going to shut down even more, that we're having all kinds of problems here, and people are starting to become desperate. How do you know this? Because people on the left and people on the right are both fighting cops. When that starts to happen, you know people are desperate. Look, whether you love cops or hate cops or whatever is your middle ground or whatever you think about cops, nobody thinks, you know what I should do? Go fight a cop. They don't think that. That's not what people think. Either you respect them, and I hope you do, but I know some people don't, just being forward. I hope you do. But even if you don't want to get in trouble because it's not going to be helpful. It's never good to be fighting cops, ever. That's not a good thing to happen, whether or not you may want to personally or not. It's still not a good thing. So why do people do it? They do it because they're desperate. And when you have guys like in Staten Island, when the cops and sheriffs are shutting down businesses and people are protesting, and now he's got charges against him. Or when you're left, you got people in Jersey who are fighting cops and literally biting cops. These are desperate people. Now, to be clear, I want to be clear, I am not advocating biting cops. I'm not. What I'm saying is people don't randomly do that. People do that because they're in a bad situation. And here's the worst part. This is a self-inflicted wound. You lock up people for 9 months with no purpose and no community and all stuck in their own little private worlds in their own little heads. And then someone says, yeah, let's go bite cops. Somebody goes, what a great idea. Better than staying home feeling like I don't have any purpose, like I'm a loser. I'll go bite cops instead. I know some of you are laughing at that, but you know that I'm actually right. You know that when you set up this kind of environment and someone says, let's go do something stupid, and you go, better than staying home, it's because you've been stuck in a situation forever. What if we didn't do that to our people? Yeah, you wouldn't have many people biting cops. That's just how it works. Or having their businesses shut down. And the worst part is, this is a totally self-inflicted wound, meaning the government has said, we're going to crush you. And then when the government crushes us, we go, you know what we need? Help from the government. You wish I was joking, I know, but you also know I'm not. We're literally saying, without help from the government, we can't get around this. Wait a minute, who put us here? Oh, government. Yeah, that's the problem we're dealing with right now. We've created an environment to where everything is bad because of government, and then we ask government for help. And I know what some of you are saying. Larry, what's wrong with you? People are dying. Yes, 100% true. Larry, this is life and death. Yes, 100% true. Do you know what is more important than people are dying or life and death? And has been more important forever and still is more important. Purpose and community. Some of you going, that's stupid. That's not stupid. That's human. That's everybody. I know Maslow's pyramid is, eating and then all that kind of, no. People kill their own, kill themselves, deny themselves, all for purpose and community. We do it all the time throughout history, across all cultures, across everything. Deny people of purpose and community, and they will become self-destructive. That is literally how humans work. Every time, forever, everywhere, you, me, everybody. Deny us of community and purpose, and we will become self-destructive. That's how it works. And the people yell, but Larry, this is life and death. Yes, and secondary to purpose and community. This is people's lives, Larry. Yes, and secondary to purpose and community. Clearly that is true. There is zero evidence that that's not true, and mounds of evidence that that is true, because it is. So when you remove people by force, literally a police force, by force, you remove their purpose and their community, and you go, I wonder why they're self-destructive. Huh? Who knew? Everybody knew. That's how that works. And the people who are our leaders, yes, I'm doing the air quotes thing, the people who are our leaders act like they have no clue. How could that? Oh my God, what could be happening? Yes, that's what happens. And then they wonder why we don't trust them. Hold on, I'm going to show you a couple of clips that I think are really going to be telling. This clip is from Face the Nation. It's from a bit ago, maybe 2 or 3, I think, weeks ago or so in that area. And it is some mayor, and he's talking about what he found when it comes to COVID and the problems. He calls it COVID fatigue, but here's what he finds. Hope you guys can hear this.
And found out that 55% of the positives were coming from shopping at large retailers.
He says 55% of all the new cases, 55% came from shopping at large retailers. What he just said, shopping at large retailers.
The term is the big box stores.
Big box stores.
Those are considered essential under CISA guidelines and the Homeland Security.
And those are considered essential under national guidelines. So the place that gets 55% of all the new cases, that's essential. Don't shut those down. But are we ready to shut down our restaurants? Yep, in a heartbeat. Your house? Yep, in a heartbeat. Churches? Yes, in a heartbeat. Subways? Schools? Remember the super spreader was supposed to be the schools? That wasn't true. Super spreader was going to be church? That wasn't true. Super spreader was supposed to be Subway? That wasn't true. None of that was true, but shut all of that down. This is true. Data, big box stores. The big box stores are not only giving us the most COVID, the big box stores are where the older people go who are actually more at risk. The youngsters are online on Amazon. The big box stores are the stores that are crushing our small businesses, yet they're essential and open. The big box stores are the only ones that can actually afford to get their ass kicked this year because they have so much profit that they can actually survive it. Yet they're open. And the small guy who can't, he's closed. Why do you think we don't trust them?
And we don't really I don't have any control over it.
They have no control over it.
We've asked for voluntary limitations.
So they asked the big box stores for voluntary limitations. Don't ask the small guys. Hammer them. Warhammer to the head, those guys. But big box, would you please just, do something?
And Walmart and several others are starting to meter.
So they're actually doing it.
Limit the occupancy of their.
So they're starting to do it. So you give them time to do it. Meanwhile, it's November when this was, I think it was November or early December. November or early December is when this guy says, we're going to do that. But the little guy was being hammered since March. How is that fair? How are we not desperate? And this is my point. Why do you think they'd be desperate? The group of people who is supposed to be helping them clearly is not helping them. Clearly is not helping them. That's the problem. Now, this is great. This is my truly amazing mayor. Oh, am I so lucky. You guys are so jealous of my amazing mayor and my amazing governor. Oh, you guys are so jealous. Let me give you him real fast and what he's saying. And again, the one thing I got to give my mayor, no shame. None. Like, yeah, I'm hammering you and get hammered. So that's one thing I got to give him. No shame.
Positivity for the coronavirus has increased intensely in New York City and New York State in recent weeks.
Intensely. Now, let me give you, for those of you who don't know, what the positivity rate in restaurants is. 1.4%. Yeah, 1.4%. Big box is killing us. So you know what we should do? Shut down restaurants. That'll work. That's the answer. Let's shut down restaurants. And now we're shutting down restaurants now so they have no income. They're going to have no income. It's going to snow in New York. It's already snowing upstate. It's going to snow in New York City next week. This week. That's it. That's it. Literally tens of thousands of restaurants are going to go under and never come back because of this guy and my governor, Cuomo, trying on this. They're together. They are simpatico. How can we crush small business? Me and you.
Hospitalizations, unfortunately, we're seeing a surge of hospitalizations.
So there's no, I've said this 1,000 times, I'll say it again. You see a surge in hospitalization. So the only answer is shut down. Now, I obviously have, without question, I'm biased here. And I'm biased here because I'm a Marine. When there are horrible casualties, and any of you who are military or have studied it or know about it, when there are horrible casualties, we don't go, oh, well, I guess you guys just lay out and die. That's not what we do. We create field hospitals, first aid tents. We find ways to do our best to expand the beds. We'll lay them on the floor if we need to. I got it. We'll do something to support these people. When it's going, oh, well, don't have enough beds. Stop the war. That's not how it works. The war is happening. Marines and soldiers and sailors are being shot, being killed, bombed. So you find an answer. You ship them. You've heard all the time. Guys get battered badly in Afghanistan or Iraq. You put them together the best of your ability, and you get them to our bases in Germany. We have amazing medical facilities. For those of you who don't know, the U.S. Army has amazing facilities, medical facilities in Germany. We get over there. Take them to Turkish bases, whatever. You find the answer. So they can't imagine expanding hospitals. You have literally had 9 months. That's not an exaggeration. 9 months to expand the hospitals in New York City, New York State, and you haven't. But government's good. 9 months. Expand the hospitals. You've been saying this is going to happen. It's going to happen in November. You're going to see this spike. And what were you doing? Nothing. Expand the hospital beds. Stop. Please stop destroying us. But they can't. They can't even imagine not destroying us. It is impossible. And you're watching us get crushed.
We've got to protect people's lives. We've got to protect our hospital's ability to save lives.
So we have to protect lives and the ability for hospitals to protect lives. How about the literally millions? And when I say millions, I mean millions of people who need purpose, of people who need community, of people who want to live their lives. And you wonder why we're having what they call COVID fatigue. Yeah, lockdown fatigue. Yeah, we're just humans. We're fighting cops now. We're outside now. We're telling you go to hell now. Some of us are becoming self-destructive now. We're taking our mask off just to say go to hell now. Yes, this is how people work. You can't do this and expect anything else.
And when it comes to this situation, you've got to start shutting down the most sensitive areas. And look up
the most sensitive areas. You mean big box stores?
Senator Cuomo said in a New York Times interview that he could see a larger shutdown happening in New York City. I think he's right.
He could see a total shutdown of New York City. I'm not joking. For several weeks. And this is our mayor who should be defending us and saying, hell no, governor, we're not shutting down. You better send in the state troopers who will fight my New York City cops because we're not shutting down. You better have that happen because you're not crushing my city. He goes, no, he's right. Shut it all down. That's my mayor. Yeah, shut it all down.
I think that's something we have to be ready for in the coming weeks, because this kind of momentum that the disease has right now, we've got to stop it.
Terrible. This is our biggest problem. This is our biggest problem. And I'm sorry, the biggest problem here is not actually what they said. It's that if you look at most people in New York City particularly, but across New York State, but heavily New York City, they're not mad. They're not mad. It's really hard to free someone from slavery when they love their master. Man, that's hard. That's where we are. We are desperate, doing desperate things like desperate people do. And the worst part is now we're becoming beggars. We're becoming beggars. The government smashes us and can you just give us some more help? Can you just give us some more help? And we don't even know any better. I know I yapped for a while, guys. I apologize, but this is something that was been bothering me. I just wanted to get out there. I'll take a bunch of comments and such too if I can. I'll try to deal with that one. The first one I just see, someone yelling at me. Capitalism doesn't stand up to COVID. It can and should. It can and should. It didn't. I agree, Kevin. And I think one of the biggest reasons why it didn't is because, without question, a lot of our capitalism in America now, particularly New York State's probably the worst when it comes to this, is actually crony capitalism. It's all about, as I said, the big box stores taking over, the big corporations taking it over, right? So I think that's one of the biggest reasons, is that we just simply kowtowed to big business. That's one reason why it doesn't stand up. Socialism can't stand up either to it, without question. The only thing that can stand up to it is individual groups figuring out how to create the right environment and the right answers. I think that can do it. We did a very bad job of it. But if you care, Kevin, I don't know if you care, I actually put my answers to this and how we could have stood up to it on my Sharpe Way, not Larry Sharpe, Sharpe Way YouTube page. The bottom is a section that says COVID videos. It's 10 videos. And I give exactly how we could have done it, how we could have stood up. But we didn't. We didn't. Let me grab some if I can. Larry, have you spoken to Ammon Bundy before? I have not. I'm happy to put us together if you like. Please go ahead. Will the Me Too complaint inhibit Cuomo's reelection bid? I think no, John. I think Cuomo, remember something, Cuomo's not a true believer, right? There are some Democrats who are actually true believers in the philosophy, I'm using air quotes, who believe in that, and they might step down because of it. Al Franken was one of those types who actually believed in it. He actually thinks that he believes that this is the right way of doing things, so he stepped down. Cuomo doesn't. Cuomo is a Cuomoist. He's a Democrat only because that gets him elected. He would be any party. It doesn't matter. He'd be a libertarian. He'd be a Republican. He'd be a communist. He'd be a fascist. He doesn't care. If it would get him elected, that's what he would be. So he doesn't actually believe in the Me Too movement. He doesn't care about that. So he won't step down. He won't do anything. And then whatever Republican runs against him, he'll just yell, he's a Trumpster, and New York will put him back in. So I don't think it will affect him. I'm not sorry. It may affect him, but it won't stop his reelection at all. I don't think it will. If it was president, maybe. Governor, no, I don't think so. Go look at CDC deaths yearly. We're under last year. Yeah, again, I mentioned before, Rose. Thank you for bringing this up. In a year or two from now, when we look back at this and we realize that some of these deaths, I don't know how many, aren't actually COVID, right? Whatever that number is, how are people going to respond? Let's say, for the sake of argument, by next year we have 500,000 deaths. I hope not, but let's say we do. Well, actually, by the end of the year, we should have probably about 350, give or take, in that area. That number, 350,000 deaths, give or take, in that area. What if 100,000 aren't COVID-related? We find out later. How are we going to react to that, Rosie? You're right. Some of those aren't. I don't know what that number is. Is it 25,000? Is it 200,000 that aren't actually COVID, that are flu or something else misclassified as COVID? I don't know. But I think we're going to find out, and it's going to be a tough spot. A real tough spot to be in. Yes. Quick, someone pass a bill freezing all government salaries until lockdowns are lifted. We'll be free again in 10 minutes. I like that. That's a good one. Yeah. But you saw what they did, Pete. They gave themselves raises already. So they were faster than you. They were thinking. The governor gave himself a $25,000 raise already. Yes. Liberty is now a myth. God, I don't want to say that. Liberty's still a good idea. It's still awesome. It's still there. I don't want to say it's a myth. It's further away, right? It's further away. Yeah. Patrick, hey, Larry, never talk about China. Ignore the virus and infiltration of government. Maybe you're on the payroll. You're Biden's lapdog now. God, Patrick, I wish I was on China's payroll. That'd be amazing. I'd get more cash. I wouldn't be bugging you guys for money all the time. I wouldn't need sponsors. So I think it's obvious I'm not on China's payroll. Biden's lapdog with the zeal for me position in his cabinet. When that happens, then you'll be right. But until then, you're just angry because you just want to yell about China. I talk about China all the time. And I talk about how we can do something about it. You, my friend, want government to fight some silly trade war against China that it can't win, or some physical war, which nobody can win, against China and yell about China. I talk about China all the time, but there's a way of fixing it. By us fixing it, we can fix it. I do talk about it, but it's not the way you want me to talk about it. Dude, there's lots of guys who yell about China all day. I'm not that guy. It's just another way of yelling into the wind. It's not going to change anything, right? At all. It has zero value. Calling out China. So? What happens? Nothing. Nothing. I don't ignore the virus. I'm about the virus now. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you mean by what you're just angry, and I get it, dude. I'm glad you're watching. Please keep watching, because the echo chamber of yelling about China is out there. You can hear it anytime you want. But I give you actual answers on how to deal with China. I give you actual answers on how to deal with the government, which is by getting a third party involved. One of the reasons why this happens to our government is because when Republicans say Democrats are bad, Democrats don't hear them because they're Republicans, so obviously they're lying, right? When Democrats say Republicans are bad, Republicans don't hear them because they're Democrats, so obviously they're lying. But when someone in the middle says something, someone might be able to hear it. Not just that, we can have a coalition against the other. Yeah, it can happen. So I give you actual answers. I get you mad. I'm glad you're watching. Please keep watching. So, forced vaccines coming. I was afraid of that, David, but I'm not as afraid of that anymore. That was a worry I had. I'm hoping it's not going to happen. I'm hoping the Supreme Court did its job and pushed away that. Plus, Trump's plan, which I know a lot of people don't like Trump's plan. I know they don't. But I got to tell you, the part that I like about it a lot is he didn't use government agents to actually hand out the vaccine. I'm very happy about that. Private companies have been doing that because, to be forward, David, a private company, the manager at Walmart, the clerk at CVS is not going to force vaccines. Will government agents? Yes, they will. Yes. So far, I'm not that worried. I don't think we're out of the woods yet, to be clear, but I think we're further away than I was from that. I think we are than we were. I think that's true. So, I was going to ask that too, David. So I hope I answered your question. I don't think yet. I don't think so. Plus, it's something else. We're going to have multiple vaccines, and I think that's probably a good thing because then people who want it will get it. I think more people will get it. And as a general rule, government's looking for, if I remember right, that 70% number. And if 70% of people get it, they're not going to even consider forced vaccines. So I'm hoping enough voluntarily people decide they want it and they get it and they won't have to worry about it. That's my hope. And there's multiple vaccines. So if one happens to be bad, I hope none of them are. Obviously, Sam, I want them all to be safe, and I hope they are. I'm not sure they are. I'm sure you're not sure either. But I hope they all are. But even if one's bad, at least maybe only one group of people will be hurt versus the mass amount. So there's my hope, if that makes any sense. Problem, so COVID is dangerous, but we do have to live life somehow. We should keep business open, masking. Yes, Michael. Yes. And I think the idea that people say no one will pay attention, no one will do it. If for those of you who are in New York City, if you watched it, I posted pictures on Facebook before the lockdown of companies and retail stores actually putting up, barriers already and having 6-foot rules and wearing masks. Voluntarily, they were doing it already. right? They were already doing it, and we should have let that work so that we could have found out what actually works and what isn't working. But Larry, you're cruel. People are dying. They're dying now. It's not like our system was so damn good that it stopped everybody from dying. Our system wasn't that great anyway. But if we'd have done what I said 9 months ago, within 6 months, we would have known exactly how to do what Michael's talking about. Function in a dangerous environment with the minimum deaths possible while protecting those that we know are vulnerable. Still to this day, I think it's 45% or 40%, I'm sure someone will correct me, in that area of all the deaths from COVID came out of nursing homes, out of long-term care facilities in some way, shape, or form. And still the vast majority are people over, is it 65? I forgot the number, but over 65 who have pre-existing conditions. So we know they're vulnerable. I mean, that's crystal clear. Let's protect them. Let's protect them instead of getting angry at people who, 20-somethings who stay late in a bar at night, right? Oh, the bar's open till 11. Oh, my God. There'll be people dancing and singing and such. Yes, and they're 20-somethings. And the odds of them getting sick and dying are slim to none. Probably won't get sick. If they get sick, probably won't die. And as long as we let them know, grandma, grandpa, dangerous. If you're going to hang out dancing and singing all night, which 20-somethings do, whether we allow them to do so or not, they're going to do that. So when they do that, let them know. Stay away from grandma for 14 days. Stay away from grandpa. Maybe don't talk to grandma, grandpa in person for like 2 months. Then dance and whatever the cool kids do. I'm old. I don't go on this stuff, but people do. I think we absolutely could have done that. So we've decided let's shut down restaurants after 10 because you know who's in a restaurant after 10 p.m.? People from nursing homes. 70-year-old men and women who have pre-existing conditions. They're hanging out at bars and clubs at 11 o'clock at night. When my mom was ill, when she was in her 60s and ill, she was in bed by 9:30 at the latest. At the latest, she was in bed by 9:30. And if you have elderly parents, you know what I'm talking about. If they're sick, they're asleep way before 10. It's you're totally right. It's crazy. Yes. Will this Cuomo allegation prevent him from gaining a federal position? I hope not. I have a feeling that came out because many of you may or may not know Cuomo is part of the short list for the attorney general. But I don't think that allegation will matter. They've already attacked the woman already, right? And said she's a disgruntled employee because it's fine when Cuomo does it, but anybody else, they're a bad guy. But Cuomo, she's terrible, she's a bad person. And she might be, to be clear, I don't know the person at all. And she might be a terrible, disgruntled person. It's possible. But, they wouldn't have said that if it was, say, I don't know, the Republican minority leader of our assembly. No, they've been like, that guy's evil, kill him. They wouldn't say she's a bad person. And again, I don't know if she is. I'm not saying Cuomo's guilty of this. It's totally not beyond his personality to be a jerk to somebody. That's totally his personality. Doesn't mean he did it. Doesn't mean she's not a bad person, a good person. I don't know her at all. I don't think it will affect it. My gut tells me, and I've said this literally months ago, Cuomo, I believe, my opinion, I have no proof of this. This is just my opinion. Cuomo and Biden have or are still having talks about how much money can Biden get to Cuomo. If Biden believes he can get big chunks of cash to Cuomo, then Cuomo will stay as governor because he'll float him, right? The problem that they're having now is the Georgia elections. That's why it's so slow. The Georgia elections don't happen till January. If the Democrats win the Senate, Biden's going to be Uncle Joe writing checks. You can guarantee he is going to be a check writing fool. So he'll be writing checks all day long. And as he writes checks, he's going to throw them to New York in certain ways or cronies or whatever, and he'll float New York. If the Democrats don't win both of those seats, he may not be able to promise much money to Cuomo, in which case Cuomo's bailout is become the AG and he bails out of the state. So I think that's the most important piece on whether Cuomo becomes the AG or not. Does he believe he can get bailed out? Biting a police officer. That happened in Jersey. Yes, more than one bit a police officer, Tony. That's not mentally disturbed. Desperate, Tony. 9 months with no purpose. 9 months, and the only community is a nutty community that says, let's go yell at cops. And they go, yeah, it's that, or I guess I'm playing more, Is Halo the cool game of the day? Call of Duty? What's the cool game? It's that which I'm ready to just, forget my life, or I'll go bite some cops. And they said, yeah, let's go bite cops. When you don't have purpose and don't have community, Tony, bad ideas just seem good. I know that sounds dumb, but you guys know it's true. When that's where your head is, bad ideas just sound good. So yes, absolutely. Please tell me you're going to run again. I am hoping to, but we don't know, right? I will announce absolutely by summer when I'm going to run. I don't know yet. Purpose and community, 100%. Hugely important. Absolutely. Yes. Cuomo and Blabio, good. We'll have a field day with these vaccines to control the sheeps and lab rats. God, I hope you're wrong, David. I hope you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying I really hope you're wrong. I really do. COVID is a world-class scam. People bring this up, right? And I hear this often. I think COVID is real. I don't think it's a scam as in like it's fake. I don't believe that. But did people use it to create a bazillion scams? Yes, absolutely. I don't think COVID itself is a scam. I think COVID actually happened. I don't believe, I have no proof. This is just my opinion. That's all I care is my opinion. I'm not saying it's my opinion. My opinion is that this was not the COVID virus was not purposefully released. I don't believe that. Well, I think we'll find out later if I'm right or wrong on that. But I do believe that when it was out, everyone was like, all right, now we're ready. And I think they absolutely took advantage of it and were ready for it when it happened. That's what I believe. But I think in the future, Robert, we'll find out. These types of things can't stay under wraps that long. They will be within a couple of years. Whatever the actual truth is will come out. I think what I'm saying is actually true. I think that's what will come out, but we'll see. So 300,000 died so far from the virus, 80,000 because of the lockdowns. Is that true, Tom? I haven't heard that. If you could do me a favor when you have a moment, if you're still on, if you could pop in maybe a link or something that would show where that came from, that'd be amazing. Thank you. I haven't heard or seen that stat. It's believable. I mean, it's totally believable. Absolutely believable. I wouldn't be shocked for that to be true. And the worst part is whenever the COVID virus runs its course, whatever that time is, the deaths will basically end. There will surely be some here or there. But the damage from the lockdown, that's at least 5 years running, if not longer. You're right. The damage we're going to see is at least 5 years running, if not more, as people lose everything. Yes. Cuomo has threatened higher tax recently. This is a risky move to attract people in business to New York. Do you think it will work? No, it's a disaster, Curtis. It's nothing but bad. It's going to finish us off. The state's already destroyed. Now he's going to finish us off. I mean, everyone I know who has any type of wealth or status in New York City, everyone that I know is considering leaving. If they haven't already left. Every one of them. And that's the part that drives me crazy. How are people who have money, who have businesses, not thinking of leaving? Why would you come here? Why would you come here, particularly in New York City, when you're going to pay about 11% in income tax on top of federal tax? Why? When you have to pay someone to live here $100,000 just to be, a worker here. Why? No need. I think it's a total disaster. Delete the comments. So libertarian. Who's deleting comments, Patrick? It's not me. Your comments. I'm the guy doing this. I'm not deleting the comments. I'm reading yours. I think you're confused on that one. That's it. Yes, that one maybe that you're confused on that one. Yes. Larry's a real politician. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. I try to be a leader in politics. I try to be a leader. I do. It can be challenging sometimes. Yo, Larry, who was your favorite president? I'm going to go with one I hate the least versus favorite. And I'm going to go with A very trite answer, I know, but I'm going to say it anyway. It's Washington. And whenever I say that, people get mad. He was a slave owner. He was 100% slave owner. Yes. The reason why is not because he owned slaves. The reason is because Washington had the opportunity to be an actual tyrant, actual royalty. And he said no. And people, libertarians go, well, the Whiskey Rebellion. Yes, which was nothing for his time. I try to measure people against their peer group, right? Who are their contemporaries? Who is their peer group? What Washington did compared to what his peer group would have done? Nothing. Nothing. He was Gandhi compared to his peer group. That's all I'm saying. If I judge him by his peer group, I have to give him props for that. And he stepped down from power. He was the first peaceful transition of power. That's amazing. This is the 1799 when he stepped down. I forgot when he did. 1790 something when he stepped down, right? When he stepped down, he didn't have to. He could have said, I'm not stepping down, I'm staying. What are you going to do? We would have said, fight a war? Nah, fine, you're king. We wanted you to be king anyway, so just be king. That could have happened. So that's why I would say him, because that's the precedent that we needed for this country to survive. That's why I say him. So 272 days to flatten the curve. That's all we need, Pete. I know it's 272 days. If we just do 14 more, see, 286 days. God, get with the program, Pete. 286 days, flatten the curve. Done. Absolutely. Perhaps the time has come for police chiefs and sheriffs to stand up and refuse to enforce unconstitutional laws and mandates. William, I cannot agree more. Yes, I think it's totally true. I think at one point you just got to say no. At one point, and I get it's hard for law enforcement. Don't get me wrong. I get it's hard. I do. And if you're a cop now, do you want to go, I quit, or I do something, I might get fired in this economic environment? I know it's tough, which is why I'm not asking the soldier in the field, the equivalent, the cop on the street, to make that call. I'm asking, as you said perfectly, William, the police chiefs and sheriffs. I'm asking them. The sheriffs can't get fired, right? They basically get, they don't get voted out or not. In a lot of counties, they're not getting voted out. In fact, the reverse. You stand up against Cuomo, we're going to double down. You're getting bigger, a bigger vote total. Police chiefs might get fired. It's possible. But if you're a police chief, you probably can withstand. I hope. Okay, not every police chief is true. Many police chiefs are set up to where they can survive if they get fired or lose their jobs or whatever. They can find work someplace else. That's something they can do. If just enough of them who are in that financial position to where they could do it would step and go, no, I'm not doing this, right? The oath I took is to support the Constitution, not some tyrant, not some guy who's mad. I think you're right. I don't know if we're going to see it. And I think one of the reasons why we're not going to see it is most of the people aren't even asking them for it, William. At least here in New York City. I'm clearly biased by where I live, right? The area around here, you don't wear a mask, put them in jail. New York City doesn't even care. Except Staten Island, of course. So yes, absolutely, yes. How do we go from 2 weeks to flatten the curve to we may not even be able to go back to normal even with the vaccine? Yeah, Paul, because they lied to us up front and then wonder why we don't trust them. They've lied to us for 9 months and then wonder why we don't trust them, right? Absolutely. Screw that. I'm going back to normal when the vaccine is widely available to everyone who wants it. I'm with you, Paul. I'm in. My mask broke in the store today and it felt like a titty popped out. Oh my God, I'm stealing that story, Chelsea. That is an awesome story. Thank you. I love that. It's so good. Politicians never pay attention to hardcore data. Not when they can take control of stuff. As libertarians, remember there's 2 episodes of business. Your business and none of your business. Very true. Absolutely. 100%. A Walmart in Denison, Iowa was metering people during the first wave of COVID-19. Yeah, I'm not sort of against that, right? I think we should have done this for all of the businesses, simply ask them to do so. And again, the thing you hear me talk about all the time, transparency, right? Don't lie. If you're going to put your policies or your rules or your procedures, and you're going to list them out and say, we are agreeing to do A, B, C, D, and E, and you're lying, that's fraud, David. That's a crime. If I'm going into your store and you're telling me what you're doing and you're not doing that, that's fraud. That's a crime. I made a choice to go into your store because you said you would do these things. You won't do them, you're in trouble. You're doing them and I get sick or whatever, that's on me. As long as you're doing what you said. As long as you are transparent in what you're doing and how you're doing it, I'm good. I then have the option to do whatever I want to do. That's the issue. Yes. So the small businesses are cannon fodder for St. Andrew de Cuomo. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. F New York will never go there. Anthony, here's what I would ask you. When this is over, I don't know when that's going to be. I hope soon. New York City is an amazing place to visit. And I tell everybody this. It's a beautiful place to visit. We've got so much history. We've got Broadway. We've got the Yankees. We've got MSG. We've got the Statue of Liberty, Freedom Tower, downtown, the best restaurants, if any, exist after this. We've got Empire State Building, so much great culture. There's lots to see here in New York City. You should come visit when it's over. You may not want to live here. I get it. I hope I'll still live here. But it's a great place to visit. It really is. It's amazing. It's amazing city to visit. You should come. So, yes. The news needs to have the death count very newsworthy and positive. I do see that, Brandon. Like you particularly see it. I think CNN's probably the worst with this one. CNN has a ticker that just keeps going. Just keeps going. It's like all COVID all the time. 100%. Yes, they actually keep that. So, de Blasio literally asked a petulant child, I have family in a marriage department. He won't work with his own department because he criticized him in an open letter. Yeah. I've heard that more than once. De Blasio's not a popular mayor. That's for sure, but he doesn't care. He doesn't care. No shame and no brain de Blasio. He didn't know that he changed. I didn't know that he changed his name and worked for us. And he did. Yes, his name is Wilhelm. Is that right? Yeah, German name. Wilhelm, I think is his name. And then he changed it to de Blasio, adopted father or something like that. He picked up that name. So yes, some of you don't know that he did change his name. Absolutely. So let's take a cue from China and weld the big store shut. Look at that. You're going to make some people angry about that China stuff. Make some people angry. Don't get them all mad. Yes, absolutely. Cuomo warns of tremendous tax increases to offset the state's budget gaps. Yeah, because that'll help get more revenue. Because you know what happens when you tax the rich every time? They happily pay it. And they give a lot of their money away to help the poor. That's happened every single time we try to tax the rich. It always works with one minor exception. With the exception of always. With the exception of always. It works all the time. Yeah. Because it never works. Ever. But we keep trying. Absolutely. What's happening is criminal. I see no solution but the militia. You know, Jay, I don't want to believe you. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying I don't want to believe you, Jay. I don't want to believe the only answer is that. I want to believe that when we show people enough hope and give them good enough ideas, that just enough will begin to turn. And the thing about something like this is it doesn't take 51% of us to turn. It doesn't. There's a tipping point, right? Most of the people, and I see it here in New York, most of the people in New York are kind of like, oh, okay, where are we going now? Who's in charge now? What are we doing? Most people are just trying to live their own lives, aren't paying much attention. Most people are just doing that. If just enough people go, it's wrong. Cops, stop. Sheriffs, stop. As William said, police chief, stop. If that enough happens, at that tipping point to where the rest of the people who are going around and go, oh, you know, they're right. Why are we doing this? When that happens, we won't need the militia. Because here's what I'm sure of. What the powers that be care about is staying in power. And if enough people go, you're gone. We're not doing it. You got to leave. And my best example is Gandhi. I know it sounds crazy, but I'm doing the Gandhi thing. Yes, If I remember the quote from Gandhi, I think there were 500 million Indians when he made this quote. Now, of course, there are 1.3 billion. But when he made his quote, I think it was in the 30s when he made it. There were about 500 million Indians. He said, when the British said, you think we're just going to walk out of India? Is that what you think? He said, yes. When 300 million Indians simply refuse to be governed by 10,000 British, you'll leave. You have a choice. I think that's our answer. I hope your solution is not the only one, Jay. I really hope it's not. I hope if enough of us go, no, they have to change. That's my hope. So, Pete, 27 trillion. It is going, Pete. Yes, it is. Absolutely. Avi says, well, Larry, the worst part of this is that the people believe that they are doing this for our benefit. Yes. This is a borderline theocracy of worshiping King Cuomo and Comrade Shea Blasio. The problem we have is it's actually on both sides. There are a lot of people who really believe, and I fell into this in the past too. I'm not sitting here like I was on the outside, it didn't affect me. A lot of people, because we wanted to believe, many people in New York State believed Cuomo was going to save us. But a lot of Republicans thought, oh, Trump is the savior. He's going to save us. No one person can save us. This country doesn't require a savior. I say it all the time. This country doesn't require a savior. This movement does not require a savior. This movement requires hundreds of heroes. This country requires thousands of individual heroes. Can one person help? Yeah, in theory, could Cuomo have helped? Yes. He wasn't gonna. But could one person help? Yes, absolutely. But there's no savior. Not a human savior, at least. There just isn't one, right? It doesn't exist. It's not going to happen. And we keep thinking it. And I think it's human, Avi. I wish it wasn't, but I think it's human that we just keep thinking, now, right? When we get Avi in power, then he'll save us. No, can Avi help us save ourselves? Yes, you can. You absolutely can do that. But you can't save us all. Nobody can. But I think you're right. Let's see here. Look, Larry Sharpe, I voted for you, but you lost to Dominion, not Cuomo. Let the nukes fly. It's time to end this bullshit. God, enough people are saying I hope you guys are wrong. But I gotta tell you, I've been hearing this talk on TV, online, friends, more and more and more. I've been hearing it. And I hope that you're wrong, Bill. I'm not saying you are because I'm actually unsure. I hope you're wrong. I hope we can find out that, generally speaking, conspiracies like this in today's world can't last that long. They just can't. Someone gets something out, it comes out. I'm hoping it comes out. And again, that tipping point happens and we can fix this without letting the nukes fly. That's what I hope. We'll see, though. Maybe I'm wrong. Look, if you're going to tell me I'm an optimist, guilty as charged. Yes, I'm an optimist. I don't want to believe that's true. I'm not foolish to think that it can't be true, but I'm optimistic. I'm hoping that it isn't, and I'm going to work towards making that not the case. That's what I'm going to do. And maybe I'm wasting my time, Bill. Maybe you might go, Larry, wasted. Maybe I want to do it. I want to be one of the guys saying that if it comes to this, in my heart, I want to be sure that I did every single thing that I personally could to not make that happen. And if it happens, at least I can feel good about what I did. And I hope others will copy me and go, you know what? Let's do what we can so this doesn't happen. Doesn't mean you should prepare. I'm not saying you shouldn't prepare, Bill. I'm just saying that's where my head is. I hope that's clear. So Obama wasn't ready. Kaplan wasn't ready. Trump wasn't ready. Capitalism wasn't ready. Trump wasn't ready. I'm not sure where you're going with that. Are you saying we weren't ready for COVID? I think that's 100% true. I don't think anybody was ready for it except to take advantage of it, right? But to defend against it, I think you're right. We weren't ready. 100% we weren't ready. Yeah. And that's my point about the war on drugs that I brought up earlier, right? The war on drugs puts people in bad situations. It puts people who get addicted to painkillers in a situation where they have to go into black market or they have to deal with horrible withdrawal symptoms. They become desperate. And desperate people, what do? Self-destructive things. That's what desperate people do. And the war on drugs puts that person in there. The war on drugs puts the person who's in a bad neighborhood, who can't get a job because he's been arrested and now he's a felon, in a situation where the only way he can make money is to be a drug dealer again. Desperate people doing desperate things. We have, or an environment where the cops come in and trash the place, so that no one can grow, nobody wants to work in there, companies don't want to be in there, so the only opportunities is doing things that are illegal. Desperate people do self-destructive things. That's the same thing. That's why this war on drugs, which is a total disaster, because all it does is make desperate people do desperate things. The war on COVID does exactly the same thing. It forces desperate people to do desperate things. So we had to be able to find, you deal with the war on drugs by educating your population. You deal with the war on COVID by educating your population. But not just that. Addiction problems we have in the war on drugs. Does everyone deal with their addiction the same way? Of course not. What works for one guy doesn't work for the other guy. What works for one person doesn't work for the other one, right? For somebody, a 12-step program, done. Someone else, complete failure. Someone else, they find exercise. Someone else, they find religion. Someone else, they find the community. Someone else stops cold turkey. There isn't a one-size-fits-all for that, nor is there a one-size-fits-all for COVID. They're very similar. Government overreach in the war on drugs creates a desperate situation so that people act desperately. Government overreaction in the war on COVID creates a desperate situation so that people act desperately. Both of them mean self-destructive behavior. It doesn't matter how dire the situation is. Remember, I said it before and I'll say it again. Purpose and community are primary in humans. Number one. Life and death, Larry. Yes. And not more important than than purpose and community. Not more important than those things. People will kill their own brother. People will turn in their own mom because of community and purpose. They will hurt themselves, kill themselves, sacrifice themselves for community and purpose. Take that away, people become self-destructive. That's just how it works. Absolutely. Larry, what are your thoughts on Wall Street living in New York? It is a horrible thing, Kendall. I cannot tell you how bad. For those of you who don't know, some large Wall Street firms, Goldman Sachs, one of them is considering moving to Florida, I think. It might be Miami, but I'm pretty sure it's Florida. They're on their way. They're thinking about moving. They haven't moved yet, but they're on their way. Many others are thinking about moving too. The stock exchange is considering moving to Texas. It's the end of New York City as we know it. It will still exist. And what I said earlier about visiting New York City will still be amazing. And that's why New York City will survive, because it will be a culture tourist city. But everything else is going away. Finance is going away. Business is going away. That's all going away. New York City, I believe, by the end of next year, will be under 7 million people. And it will never recover from that. It'll never go over 7 million again. And you might say, well, Larry, it's a lot of people. It is. But New York was about to push 9 million. Losing 2 million people out of a city, huge, huge. New York State is going to drop below 15 million people. That's embarrassing for our state. We're going to wind up being like the fifth largest state all of a sudden. There was a point when we were number one. Then we were number two for a long time. Then number three. Now number four, because Florida passed us. Before you know it, we're going to be number 5, number 6. So we're going to lose this census. We're going to lose 2 Congress people, 2 seats. We're going to go from 27 seats to 25 seats. Just this census. Next census, we'll drop at least 2 more, if not 3 more. So yeah, we'll lose tons more. Maybe even 4 more. Next 10 years, we might lose 4 more. That's how fast we're going to leave our state. I think it's a disaster. Absolutely. And no one's even paying attention. I wish they were. They're not paying attention. They're just going to watch it happen. We are like the ancient Romans in like the year 425 or something like that. Am I being too geeky with you guys? Rome's about to fall. A couple more years, and we're partying it up. Who cares? We're in Rome. We're the Roman Empire. Roman Empire is finished. Collapsing everywhere. They didn't figure it out until it was too late. They didn't figure it out till the barbarians knocking on their gate going, hey, by the way, give us money or we'll kill you. Then they figured it out. Too late. That's where we are right now. So it's going to get much worse before it gets better. I think you're right. Yes. What's the point of shutting down certain zones? People are just going to the next one over. You're right. Right? New York City shutting down. What are we going to do? Go to Westchester? go to Jersey, or go to Long Island. That's it. 100%. That's what's going to happen. You're totally right. It doesn't make any sense. Or you could create safe ways to do things so you can just stay where you are. Yes. Just stay where you are. Yes. So, all right, let me keep going if I can. All hail King Covidius Cuomo. Yes, absolutely. Yep. No, it's not. No, it's all crony capitalism because of regulatory capture. As long as you have a system like capitalism, the money always goes to the top. I'm not sure where you're going with that. Are you saying that no matter what, capitalism means money always goes to the top? Is that where you're going with that? I feel like regulatory capture, yes, that's right. But you can have a capitalist system that isn't crony capitalism. I mean, you can have a capitalist system that supports entrepreneurism. An example of that probably was, there aren't that many good examples of the before with you, but I think probably a good example of that was probably Hong Kong about 20, 30 years ago. That was probably a decent example. In theory, Singapore, but not really. But in theory, I mean, they're capitalists, but they're very much about top-down control, but they tend to support entrepreneurism decently. They're not bad at it. Taiwan's not bad at it, but we used to be really good at it. And certain states are better at it. Wyoming is probably one of the best states that we have. That's probably the best at it right now. Wyoming is that. Not people going to Wyoming because Wyoming is exploding because of that, right? As you allow more entrepreneurism, you find that to be the case. Silicon Valley used to be really good at that. Now they're mediocre because the big tech basically buys everything now. And that's because of regulatory capture. So I'm not sure they're the same thing. Money goes up, it does. But as long as you don't, as a general rule, when the money is just in large organizations, if organizations don't control government, if you have a government that is more of a libertarian government to where it doesn't matter how much money you give the government, if the government doesn't have the power or the culture to impose rules and regulations, it's irrelevant, in which case they won't give money, right? If you had a tax code that was just flat no matter what, where you had no exceptions, half of your lobbyists would go away overnight, right? Because half of the lobbyists are there because they want to change tax code. If you just have a rule, tax code is one thing and that's it, half will go away immediately, right? Just, you can't mess with the tax code. So you could create that kind of capitalism right there that would change that piece. If there was no regulatory issues, it was just instead, if you change licensing instead to credentialing, just doing that would increase the odds of the little guy moving to the top. People would only jump on the little guy bandwagon if he or she had the great idea that would then break the monopoly. So you could do it. We haven't. So I think if your issue is how it has been, you're correct. If your issue is how it can be, I don't think so. So, all right. Let's see. Yes, because higher taxes bring economic boom. Yeah, I get you being sarcastic, Patrick. I'm with you, brother. Absolutely. Yes. All right, see if I can keep going here. Let me grab a couple more. Disclaimer, I'm a socialist dictated by the masses. No worries, Kevin. I'm glad you're here. I mean, I've had more than one socialist on the show more than one time. I've had Howie Hawkins on twice. I recently had a person who identified himself as, if I remember right, it was a Leninist Marxist. I think is how he identified himself. He was on just about 2 weeks ago. So I've had people on who are far left. No problem. I'm happy you're here. And I get what you're saying. I think we could find a common ground as long as that dictatorship by the masses piece was local, voluntary, and people could leave, right? I think you could absolutely do that. And that's kind of what Howie Hawkins was talking about in theory. So no worries. I'm glad you're here. Please keep watching. Family law destroys millions of lives in dozens of ways. COVID isn't the pandemic. Fatherlessness is, and the family law is a disease. I can't fight you on that one, Chris. You're right. And this goes back to what I talked about maybe last week. What is crushing our nation, what is killing our people, is three things: lack of purpose, lack of community, and loneliness. And fathers are a part of that, right? Fathers help children create purpose. Fathers help children have a community, right? Not that mothers can't do it. Of course they can. But it's a whole lot harder for just mom. A whole lot easier when it's mom and dad. And some kids don't respond well to their moms. Some respond better to their dads. So clearly, plus the dad himself. If he doesn't have his family, you've just shot his purpose. His family, where's his community? Well, now dad wants to be self-destructive too. And when kids see dad be self-destructive, remember something. Kids don't do what we say. Kids do what we do. We can say everything we want. They're not going to pay attention. They watch what we do. So if we start acting in a self-destructive manner, don't you think kids would? Yeah, absolutely. And something else to remember. Kids want attention no matter what. They want attention. This is normal. It is human. They want attention. If they won't get it from positive, they'll take it negative. They'll take it negative. Larry, they don't want to be beaten or hurt. Yeah, better than being ignored. Never forget something in your life, my friends. If you remember this, I think it will help you tremendously. The opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is apathy. If you're in a relationship and he or she is still yelling at you because they hate you, you still got a chance. When they start going, I don't care, sleep with someone else. I don't care, leave the house. You're finished. When they don't care, relationship's over. When they're mad at you, you still got a shot. I mean, it may still be over, but you got a shot when they're angry. They're not angry anymore. They're like, whatever, go, bye. It's over. When your kids think you don't care because mom or dad are alienating you, and they're saying, oh, dad doesn't love you, dad doesn't care, when they're saying that, which is almost always a lie. But when the mom or dad says that to the other, right, whatever the case may be, remember, dads do it too. Just more moms statistically than dads, but dads do it too. And the biggest reason is courts overwhelmingly give the kids to the mom compared to the dad. So that's why it's often moms compared to dads. When they're alienating, what do the kids do? Oh, dad doesn't love me. He doesn't want to pay attention to me. I'll show him self-destructive to try to get the dad to come back in their life, to try to get mom to give him more attention. Happens all the time. When you set up an environment to make people desperate, they act desperately. And when that happens, they have no community and purpose. They are self-destructive. Note the common thread, this entire show, it is just human. Thank you, Chris, for that. I appreciate that. Yes. So, is it possible? Is there a way to find out the number of beds available December 2019 compared to December 2020? Good question, Colin. I don't know. Good question. I'm sure there is. Guys, my team, some of you are watching. Some homework. If you take care of that, if you don't mind, I appreciate that. Yes. So, did Cuomo really give himself a $25,000 a year raise during lockdown? Yes, he did. Absolutely. Patreon.com/Sharpe Way. Funnel funds to Larry via China. Yes. Joe, get me in trouble, Joe. Look at you. Get me in trouble. It's fine, though. Do Patreon if you want to. I love it. But not just that. There's another way you can also. If you guys, for those of you who want to help out the show without having to go to Patreon, please go to Patreon. If you have the money, please do so. There's another way. You could, if you want to, go to one of my sponsors. Listen to this. Hey, it's Larry Sharpe, host of the Sharpe Way Show. Want to talk to you for a couple of seconds only about CBD products. Look, if you think that they should be part of your health regimen, or they already are, you're dealing with maybe pain or anxiety or some other issue, head on over to grownselection.com. Check them out. They're a libertarian-owned company. They understand that you own your body and should treat yourself the way you think you should be treated. Of course they do. You do too, and so do I. So head over there, check them out, look at their CBD products. If you think they fit your health regimen, put in Sharpe Way 20 and get 20% off your order. Look, I want you to support the Liberty Movement, libertarian-owned businesses, and the show. They're a sponsor. If CBD is or should be part of your health regimen, grownselection.com. Check them out. Purchase Sharpe Way 20 for 20% off. Support the show. Support the movement. grownselection.com. That guy's smart. Nice shirt, too. So, yes, thank you for that. I do appreciate that. Oh, I'm sorry, John, $26,000, not 25. Absolutely. Yes, 100%. That's very true. So, all right. If Larry supported China government policies, he'd be the opposite of where he is and the advocates that are. That's true. Yes, 100%. That's absolutely right. 100%. Yes, that's funny. So let's see if I can grab some of these. Walmart parking lot was full of cars today. I ordered via my Walmart app and used pickup. Was there for about 10 minutes, if that, from entering and exiting parking lot. Yeah, I'm not against Walmart being open, Joe. I'm not. My problem is shutting everybody else down, right? That's my problem, shutting everybody else down and just letting Walmart stay open. I'm actually glad that Walmart has tried to do things that make people feel safe and allowing for, pickup. Because again, what if you're a 60-something, person and you have pre-existing conditions and you don't want to go into Walmart because you might get COVID and you might die? I got it. Be able to use the pickup app or whatever, 100%. But if you're 20-something, you want to go into Walmart and buy some, go buy some Walmart. Put your mask on in case there's older people there who are working there or something, all right, whatever. I get it. Some people have to work, right? Just because you're 65 doesn't mean you're retired. Some people have to work. You got to work there, keep your mask on, keep your 6-foot distance. I'm fine with that, right? I don't want people to think that COVID isn't a real thing. It is a real thing. It's just, it's not as deadly to everyone as it is to some. It just isn't. And we have to realize that you have to make a decision based upon on what you think is important in your life, what is critical in your life, and how you want to live it. And only you get to decide that, not me. I'm happy about all the skepticism towards Big Pharma lately. Yes, Tracy. See, you found a wonderful silver lining to this. I completely agree. This is a good thing that we're a bit more worried and concerned, as we should be. I don't want us to diss Big Pharma completely because they do some good things and they can do even better and more, but only if we demand it. Only if we say we're only going to purchase the products that give us what we want. Only if we say we're going to buy the products that fit what we want, right? If we do that, and we don't, right? We just, what did the doctor give me a prescription of? Okay, I'll take that because we're not skeptical. But Tracy, if we get more skeptical, you'll see how it'll change. I think you're right. If we take time and go, wait a minute, is this really what we need? Hey, what's this going to be? You know what? Is there another way of doing this? I think you will find Big Pharma react. And the reason why I say it is, if you look at how many of the stores have reacted to people changing their mindsets and what they want, they changed, they shifted. Even the Walmarts have changed what they bring in and what they care about, right? There are now vegans, right? You can get vegan stuff in Walmart. You could get vegan stuff at Walmart 20 years ago, but the culture changes. People want vegan stuff. You can get that at Walmart now. Walmart's like, okay, I'm going to give you, and Walmart's big box. Well, Big Pharma is the same concept. The more skeptical we are, Tracy, you are right. The more we ask of them, look, people often think, Big Pharma, they sit up there going, how can I murder people? No, they go, how can I make the most money possible? That's what they do. I get it, that they're a big corporation. That's what big corporations do, right? So we have to show them that the way to make the big dollars is to do what we say. If we don't do that, that's what happens. Absolutely. So, all right. Larry, what do you make of states like Texas that are now talking about withdrawing from the union? Do you think this is viable and can happen? If so, would you leave New York State? I don't think it's viable. I get it, and I understand it. And I'm torn on this. I would be forward with you. I don't think it's viable because if you look at most states, it's hard to find an actual blue or red state. And what I mean by that is that the actual states themselves. In almost every state, I can't think of one that isn't. Maybe I'm going back to Wyoming or Montana, but not even that, not even those states. The cities tend to be blue, right? The cities tend to be blue, and the suburbs and the rural areas tend to be red. So how does New York secede to be liberal when out of 62 counties, probably 50 are red? That's a guess. 50 maybe? Maybe less. Maybe 40, maybe more, I should say. Maybe 55. That's too much. Probably somewhere around 45 to 50 are red. I'm guessing in that area. 50 might be red. So how do we do that? How do you secede? Do I Do I chop out cities? We're too balkanized, right? That's a saying from the Balkans, which is a southern part of Europe. I don't see it happening. So I think it's talk and only talk. I don't think it can actually work. But to be forward, it's going to sound terrible. I'm happy there's talk. It sounds so bad me saying it. But I am. Because that kind of talk tells people, stop. Just stop. Right? That's why I'm not unhappy about the talk. Because I think it does let people know, God, we're done. So is that why I leave New York State? No, why? I'd leave New York State to go to another state that has blue cities and red rural areas. That would be a reason for leaving. I would leave New York State because I felt for my family and on my future, there wasn't enough hope here. That's why I would leave. And it wouldn't matter whether people think about withdrawing from the union or not. That wouldn't be the reason. I would leave New York State because I would feel that, you know what, there's just not enough hope here for me and my family. It's not worth it. That is why I would leave, but not just because of this. So I hope I answered your question. So, all right. New York City is a dead zone now, completely vacant. People are hemorrhaging from the cities. Yes. It's what I keep saying, right? The cities aren't going to recover exactly in the same way. They're not going to recover in the same way. It just can't. Government scarier than COVID. Yes, absolutely. Oh my God, I need some libertarian talk. I'm giving you the best I can, William. I'm doing my best. I don't know if it's good enough. Yes. I wish Larry Sharpe was New York State governor. Cuomo was nothing more than an embarrassing blowhard who has ruined the state. Yes, he is just trashing our state like there's no tomorrow. He's not fixing it at all. He's making things worse and doesn't even care and doesn't see it. And will either leave us and go become the AG and just watch us burn, or he'll stay here, get money from the federal government until 2023, which case he will then take the state to bankruptcy. This state goes through bankruptcy in 2023 unless something is done, right? That's really unless something is done. Yes. COVID is more active after 10 p.m. It's science. Yeah, it is. Not just that, William. It's more active after 10, but something else. It knows if you have more than 10 people in your house. It's like a vampire, right? Like a vampire can't come in your house unless you invite him in. Otherwise, he's stuck outside. Same thing with COVID. Hangs outside. And if you don't have 10 people, can't come in. You get 11, and it goes. Boom. Gotcha. So what happens? Also, by the way, in restaurants too, if your table has 10 people, it can't touch you. It just sits outside and goes, man, they got 10 people. Once the 11th person sits down, gotcha. So yes, COVID, it's science. These other people don't get it like you and I do, William. They don't get it. It's fine. You know, they don't understand science. We're just smarter than them. You know, we should be in government because we're smarter than all of them, William. Yes. All right. The real sexual crime taking place is King Cuomo against New York State residents. The sad part is we're asking for it. So it's not a crime. It's actually consensual. It's a horrible act because it's painful and we actually just keep taking it. We keep saying, thank you, sir. May I have another? It's terrible. Absolutely. Yes. You don't encourage somebody who feels exceptional like Americans. I think you're responding to other people, but I see where you're going with this, Kevin. I'm not sure that's always true either, right? You do want people to feel like they can do great things. And I think you do want to be proud of achievements when you create them. I think that part's true. But I agree, you don't want to encourage bigotry. You don't want to encourage xenophobia. You don't want to encourage jingoism. I think those are all true. But I think there's an idea that you do want Americans to feel like we can do special things. Otherwise, why would we do special things, right? So I think there's a level to that. There's a nuance. Maybe it's better. There's a nuance to that. I think you don't want to encourage jingoism. You don't want to encourage, bigotry. You don't want to encourage that. But you do want to encourage we can do special things, So, yeah, let's bite some cops. Sounds good, Chrissy. Meet you on 3rd Street. Let's go bite some cops because I'm bored. And yes, exactly. Yes. When you have no community and no purpose, suicide seems like a good idea. Yes. You will hear me say this often. I can't stop saying this. For people to be happy, they need 3 things. They have to feel loved, they have to feel respected, and they have to have purpose. Love and respect often comes from community, not always. Sometimes one of them comes from community, and the other can come from your profession or your job or something like that. Depends on who you are and what you're doing. And then purpose. If you have two of those, you have, say, love and purpose, or respect and love, or whatever you might have two of those, it's a whole lot easier to find the third, right? Because if I've got love, I've accepted. If I've got respect, I feel confident. I can go find purpose. If I got purpose and I'm respected, I can find love, right? And love doesn't have to be romantic love. It can be, but it can be familiar love. It can be paternal love. It doesn't matter. It can be any type of love. Platonic love. Sorry, it can be platonic love. It can be that, but you have to feel loved, right? Accepted and loved, and then respected, right? And then purpose. If you only have one, it's more challenging, but you can still search for the other two. If you have none of them, suicide looks good. Why am I living? You become desperate to find any one of them, either community or purpose or love or something. You're trying to find something. You become desperate. You're totally right, Lyndon. You become desperate. And we lose it, right? All of us, we've all lost respect or lost love or lost purpose in our lives. That's why this country's built on the pursuit of happiness, right? The pursuit of happiness. That's what we're all about. And I want you to pursue happiness because we lose it. It's how it works. You lose someone you love. You lose feeling loved. You lose respect. You lose respect for yourself. You got to get it back. You got to find your love back. You lose your purpose. Happens all the time. Totally true. Yes. The devil finds work for idle hands. One of the oldest sayings that we have, and we decided, you know what we should do? Make 30 million Americans idle. I'm shocked. The devil found work for him. Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. COVID is real, but the response is fake. So good, Brandon. So good. Yes. Very good. Kevin, I'm leaving, but not because of you, because of the people asking questions. I can't use stupidity anymore. Good you otherwise. I hope you come back, Kevin. I hope you come back. I'm happy to have you here. I hope you come back. Yes. All right. I also hear if you donate to politically connected politicians, you can also be immune. Yes, but the issue is, William, you have to have parties for them to where you raise money at the party. That's how that works. I know you weren't part of that scientific experiment that I did. How that works is if you donate at a party, like a very expensive restaurant or someone's home, then COVID, you're immune. That's correct. Yes, we got that down. Yes. The disease should be renamed Cuomo-19. He's a plague on the state. I love that. And the vaccine's Larry Sharpe. Thank you. Time to scrap the monarchy. It's very good. There we go. So, another one. COVID is real. The response is unrealistic. I like that too. Both good. Both good. I like fake sounds cooler, but unrealistic sounds, yeah. I'm not sure. I like them both. I may go back and forth. They're both good. They're both good. That's why Bernie pushes federal jobs guarantee over UBI, because idle hands cause trouble. Ooh, interesting. You're right. He doesn't push the UBI. He does push job guarantees, which is a form of UBI. But the idea behind it that I'm with you on what he's saying and why Bernie talks about that. So does Howie Hawkins, by the way. He also talks about the federal jobs guarantee. The issue, though, is if you push a job guarantee, now I'm putting people in jobs that they may or may not want or may not be good at, and they're never going to leave. So I'm literally encouraging an incompetent bureaucracy. Not that I don't already have one by default. Not that it's not going to be better by default, but now I'm encouraging it. Now I'm going out of my way to have an incompetent bureaucracy. And they're not going to move and do jobs and care about being fired because it's a guaranteed job. So who cares? Whatever. I don't care. The concept of UBI, and I'm not saying I buy this. I'm telling you the concept behind it is if we give the UBI, then the individual is free to go try to pursue happiness the way they want to. And then they can go make money doing something they want to make, and then they'll get off of it or won't need it or will be prepared to fail or whatever the case may be. Which is why of all the UBI schemes, the one I think is the least bad is the negative income tax. It is a form of UBI. It is. Some people don't like it. But again, If I have to go UBI, I'm not a UBI fan. If I got to go there, because my worry is our country's moving towards UBI fast. That's why Bernie and Howie talk about the jobs guarantee, because they know UBI is coming. If you got to pick UBI, I say you pick the negative income tax idea, which is one where you only get UBI if you're under a certain amount, and then it's a stipend that encourages you to work your way up. In that way, at least you have the opportunity to actually go get a job to do something you want to do, or start a business or something. If we just do jobs guarantee, if we just do UBI, I don't know which is worse. They're both bad. I'm not sure which one's worse. Part of me thinks UBI is better and federal jobs is worse, because I think the federal jobs locks everybody into this, versus UBI, some people will get up and do cool stuff. So we're looking at which is less bad, I guess. And if I got to pick which is less bad, I'm going to go with UBI over federal jobs guarantee. And I'm going to go with negative income tax over straight UBI if I got to pick which is less bad. I hope that answered your question. I know I went kind of long on that. I apologize. I don't always want to go that long. How do you feel about the election fraud being so under the rug? I voted for Joe, but I'm afraid that we will never have election integrity if this flies. This is the problem that I have, right? And some of you Trump supporters are going to be mad at me. Trump knew this 4 years ago. His quote, and if you can look it up, this is Trump's quote: "I know it's rigged, but I won, so I don't care." Yeah, it was rigged back then too. It was worse now because of the mail-in voting. I'm sure it's worse. Whatever fraud or problems there were in 2016, it's worse now. That's true. What are you going to do now? It was swept under the rug then. It's swept now. I think the best thing Trump supporters can do, I don't think Trump's going to win. I think Biden's going to be president in January 20th. I could be wrong. Look, I've been wrong before. Maybe Trump's got something up his sleeve. He's going to pull something out we don't know about and whatever. Maybe. I'm not betting on that. I'm saying I'm betting Biden's going to be president January 20th. That's what's going to happen. Were there problems with the election? Of course there were problems with the election. Was it enough that would have made Trump president? I don't know. I don't see that. But again, I could be wrong. The judges didn't see that. The system didn't see that. But it is a system. So maybe the system is protecting itself. It's possible. Possible. But either way, it got swept under the rug in 2016. He was president for 4 years. He didn't fix it. Now it bit him. It might have bit Hillary. Maybe. I don't know. But it might have bitten him. His answer was, if you remember, well, you got to win by a whole lot. Well, according to the election, didn't Biden win by more than what Trump won? All I'm saying is, if it's bad, and I'm sure it's bad, what I think Trump supporters could do now if they really care, and I know some do, I know some don't, right? Depending on the Trump supporters, some of Trump supporters just love Trump and are just mad and they don't care. Some actually care. They're like, this is a bad system. We got to fix it. Great. Let's fix it now. Now's our time, Shelley. Let's start fixing it now. Let's not sweep it under the rug. Let's fix it now. But I don't think any fixing is going to get Trump in the presidency. I don't believe it. I could be wrong. Again, I'm not here. Maybe people know stuff I don't know. I don't see it. I see Biden taking over January 20th. I don't think Trump's going to have the system behind him. And all the problems that existed in 2016 were exacerbated in 2020. And we should fix the system, Shelley. I'm with you. But I think that's something we can do. So the COVID will run its course and end when Democrats party can most benefit from it. I don't know. I'm not sure that's true, but I do think the image of that will be true, right? So they won't be talking about it 24/7 anymore. It'll be like, yeah, and people died, and next thing. I think the media will turn its attention away. I'm not sure whether the actual virus will be affected either way, but the media will be turned. The attention will be turned. Absolutely. Larry, what do you make of Adam Carolla leaving California to go to Texas? Do you think the entertainment industry will eventually flee to California and New York? from oppressive governments, even if they are mostly left-wing fanatic. Yes, and the reason is because they're going to other cities, right? They're going to Texas. They're not going to the outskirts of West Texas. They're not doing that. They're going to Austin. Austin's as blue as San Francisco. So yes, they're going to Texas for several reasons. Texas has a better business environment without question, and no income tax. That's why they're going to Texas. Adam Carolla's gone. Joe Rogan's gone. Bill Maher's considering leaving. They're all leaving. Oracle is leaving, going to Texas. As I said, New York State, people are leaving. They're all leaving. They're going to Texas, Florida, Wyoming, and a couple other states. Wyoming is too sparse for so many people. It's too small of a state population-wise. It's physically large, but the population is just too small for too many people. But Texas has a huge population, second biggest in the country. Big cities. Houston's the fourth largest city in fourth or third? Fourth largest city in the nation. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely space to go to Texas. That's not going to stop. It's going to keep happening. And sadly, California, New York, the people who are on top are happy staying in charge. They don't care if things burn down around them. Their goal is to stay in charge, and it's working. And sadly, for most people in California, they're like, yeah, well, I've heard this. I was watching, I forgot what show. Was it Young Turks or one of those shows when somebody was leaving to go to California? Leaving on Texas. And the person's like, good, go. We don't need you. And I was thinking, that is the feeling of a lot of New Yorkers and Californians. They're like, good, leave. You're one of those conservatives. Get out of here. They don't care. So, I mean, you heard Cuomo. Cuomo literally said it to you New Yorkers. He said it. There's no place for you in New York State if you're conservative. Cuomo said that. He's like, get out. I don't want you here. So, yes, it's going to keep going. And I don't think it matters. I think they're okay with it, right? The people who are more left-wing will move into cities. The people who are more right-wing move into suburbs or into rural areas or less blue cities, right? Austin is a very blue city. Dallas, not so much. Still blue, but nowhere near as blue as Austin is, right? So they'll move to Dallas, which is where most of the right-wingers go to Dallas, because Dallas is a less blue city in Texas compared to Austin. So that's the reason why. So, all right. I posted early in the thread. Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you for that. I will check that. I appreciate that, Tom. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for doing some homework for my team. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. COVID has killed 1.5 million people worldwide. In 1968, the Hong Kong flu killed 1.4 million people worldwide. This lockdown is the way to enslave us all to the state. I can't argue with you, William. I can't argue with you. As I said, people were waiting for this to happen. And when it happened, they jumped. They absolutely jumped. Absolutely. If we run our elections worse than some banana republic, why should the American people even bother participating in voting? No multi-partisan observation, number of count, vote. Yes. Sam, I agree with you. I think it's a problem, but here's my answer. I don't want Jay to be right, right? I don't want Jay to be right. And the only way we do that is by having enough people who care over time to make the shift, right? In my view, and I've told people this, in 2016, I started a plan. It was a 7 to 10 year plan because of COVID. It's a 10-year plan. So now it's a 10-year plan. It was a 7 to 10 year plan. That's a 10-year plan. I still have 6 years left. If we can't make impact in 6 years, someone else has to pick up the baton, right? I will hold the baton for the next 6 years and try to make it work to where people actually care. They'll make the change. That tipping point happens, Sam, that people go, whoa, this is bogus. And Shelley's point of it being broken, they go, oh my God, it is broken. It was broken. Let's fix this. Absolutely. I hope it will happen. I can't guarantee it, but I do think that it can happen. I hope it does. So yes. The entertainment industry is already fleeing California. Yes. Georgia too. Exactly right. Yes. Georgia is the second thing. I am surprised. Georgia is being flooded with entertainment industry. Yes, it is. Georgia and Texas, both. Better weather, better business environments. Yes. But Texas has no income tax. I think Georgia has income tax. I'm not sure. Yes. Absolutely. Thank you. Wasn't Thomas Jefferson Washington's VP? Yeah, I'm pretty sure, right? Wasn't Jefferson the second president? So I think so. Yep, absolutely. I like that as a rule, judging by his peer group for context. Yeah, I think that's the right answer, right? I can't judge everybody by today's standards. It's unfair, right? It's just unfair. This is the one thing that, I'm clearly not a Joe Biden fan, but the one thing that I will judge versus not judge him, I judge him completely on his 1994 crime bill. There were people saying this is a bad idea. His peer group wasn't all saying that, right? Many were, but he could have been the guy who said, wait, this is a bad idea. But when he was in Congress in the 70s, had to deal with segregationists and deal with them, I don't blame him for that. In the 70s, there was still a whole lot of people. Most of his peer group was still like, we want black people in the neighborhoods. No, I don't think we do. So so for that part in the 70s, I don't judge Biden today for that. For 94, yeah, I do. Because his peer group, no. I was there going, what are you doing? What are you doing? So I agree with you, Chris. You want to judge people by their peer group and by their, for context. His 70s stuff, whatevs. His 90s stuff, yeah, I'm judging Biden on that. Absolutely. I let him slide for the 70s stuff. I do. Absolutely do. So there we go. All right. Let's see if I can grab some more here. Let's see here. What about the Chinese scientist who said China released COVID on purpose? Didn't they take her family, or is that conspiracy? Is it possible China released it on purpose? Maybe. I would think not, because I think too many of it was too sloppily done. I think. What I'm saying is I don't think the people in America are like, yeah, China, do it, right? Then we'll take over the country. That's what I mean by that when I say it wasn't on purpose. I don't think the American leadership said, oh, good, China, you ready? Release it today. That's what I think did not happen. Did the Chinese release it on purpose? Maybe. I don't think we'll know that for a while. China's much more secret and will literally just kill people, as you know. So that would be hard to find out if that's true or not. But my point is, I think the Americans' leadership here was just waiting for a crisis. And then they would enact this, right? Similar to the Patriot Act, right? They were waiting for, 9/11 or whatever situation to then use it. I think they were waiting for a crisis to use this one, the lockdowns, and China gave it to them. I don't think that part was coordinated. Again, I think we'll find out in the future, but my gut tells me that was not coordinated. They were just waiting for it. It happened. Home run. Let's use it. I hope that was clearer. Yes. Any LEO that enforces unconstitutional laws should be fired. By whom, William? The people who would fire them are giving them the orders to do it. That's my point. That's why I was agreeing with the other guy. I've actually forgotten who said it. Was talking about was it Tony who said that? I forgot who it was. Who said that we want to get the top brass to do this, right? I want the sheriffs and the police chiefs to say don't do it, because then I don't have to worry about the frontline soldier. Right now, if he does, he gets fired because your senior leadership says don't do it, and they do it, then they get fired. But right now, senior leadership is like, no, do it. Who's going to fire them? Nobody. Absolutely. So today I feel like a libertarian socialist, don't you? I love that. Look, what I will always say is if people want to voluntarily decide to be more socialist, to be more collectivism on their own, please go ahead. You have your right to go where you want to go, how you want to go with your own money. If you want to surrender your rights, voluntarily, please go ahead. Absolutely. If that's what makes you happy, that's what you need to move forward in your life right now, go on, man. I'm totally okay with it. I just don't want you to force others to do that. That's my only issue. I mean, the Amish, good on you, man. The Amish can survive in the libertarian world. They can't survive in the totalitarian world. In the totalitarian world, the minorities are always the first to be crushed. Always the first to be crushed, to be scapegoated, crushed, whether they're gypsies or Jews or insert the bad people here, black people in America, Mexicans, Muslims, whatever is in other countries where Christians and minorities, Christians, right? Whatever the minority is, they're the ones who are first to be crushed. The libertarian society, do you. Just don't force others. That's the only issue. So sheriffs in rural North Carolina counties are absolutely ignoring the governor, as they should. I love that. Yes. I'm sorry, but not calling COVID the China virus because it may lead to violence against Chinese people. How many people in Lyme, Connecticut were assaulted for Lyme disease? That's very funny, Shelley. No, I don't have a problem saying it comes from China. The problem is most people are calling it the China virus, not because it's Chinese, but they're calling it a China virus to say it's China's fault, which I don't know if that's true or not. It might be. I'm not saying it isn't. I just don't know yet. I don't trust the data to be forward, you guys. I don't trust it yet. I think we need time before we can trust that data. I just don't trust it yet. I'm not sure if China was 100% guilty, 10% guilty. I don't actually know yet. I think we need more time for the real data to come out before we'll know what that actually was. And I don't think there was that much violence against Chinese people. There was some. It wasn't as bad as many people have said. Cuomo uses that as a way to scare people, as a way to sound like he's the white knight coming in to protect you. So that's what it is. So see if I can grab this here. Let's see here. Walmart in upstate New York is allowed to do whatever. No temp checks or max capacity. Yep. They must be one of his Cuomos. Absolutely. They must be one of his Cuomos. That his cronies. That's what I think it is. I see that all the times. How do you feel about executive orders? I don't think they should be an option. That's a good question. The reason why I don't like executive orders is because the way they're used. What executive orders were supposed to be about, they're not. But they were supposed to be orders on how to enact actual laws. That's not what they're used for, Robert. They were supposed to be used for, okay, there's a new law. You have to let people who have disabilities vote. Okay, that's not a bad law. People with disabilities, they have rights. They should be able to vote. Not a bad law. Okay, go and vote. Perfect. Now, then the executive says, here's how we execute that, right? You are authorized to create separate outside polling stations for people in wheelchairs or something like that. I made that up, obviously. But that's what executive orders were supposed to be about. The law wasn't clear, so the executive creates the orders to clarify a law and say, here's how we will enforce it. That I'm not against at all. That's actually a good idea, right? If a law isn't clear, the executive then says, here's how we're going to enforce it. If the Congress thinks that's not what was intended, they take it to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court then goes, okay, that executive order, that is off. It's not what was intended. That is unconstitutional or it is constitutional. And that's fine. The problem is now executive orders are now laws. And this began much more because of gridlock. A lot of libertarians are like, gridlock is awesome because then nothing gets done. That's not what happens with gridlock. Actual gridlock means the executive gets angry, can't get anything done, so he starts writing laws himself. That's what happens. The executive starts writing laws himself, and the Supreme Court now has to become activist. We get mad at these activist judges. They have to be. We've got the president writing laws. They have to become activist judges. The legislation is not doing its job. In New York State, the legislature never does its job, and nationally, it doesn't do its job. Our second branch of government, our legislature, has given up its rights, its power completely. Just said, we don't want that anymore. Scratch that. We're not doing that anymore. That's what we've done. And that's why we have so many executive orders, because of that reason. So I'm not a fan of authoritarianism. I'm not a fan of executive orders, but I don't want to destroy them. I just want them to go back to what they're supposed to be used for, their original idea, which is how to execute a law that isn't clear or that has to be executed differently in different areas or something like that. When it comes to that, I'm actually okay with it. I'm not authoritarian. Question, though, is do you think you're an authoritarian? Do you have friends who might be authoritarians and they're not sure? I have an answer for you to have that question, to have that conversation with them. It's a very tough time right now to have a real conversation politically about where the country should go right now. Mad at this guy, not mad at that guy, big problems. How do you do that? How do you have that conversation? Starts with respect, not leading with facts and opinions, but instead leading with respect, mutual respect, human respect. What can we use to make that happen? the world's smallest political quiz at theadvocates.org. Go there, take that test, show people that test, show them the issues, and have the conversation with your family and friends to make an actual change and have a real conversation in this country. Theadvocates.org. That guy's smart. Listen to him. Absolutely. So you can do that if you want to, please. I'd appreciate it. It's always good to make that happen. Larry, I heard Cuomo's going to mark this stream in the Orange Red Zone tomorrow. See you later. I put my mask on now. Absolutely. Yes. He's going to get rid of me. Absolutely. People are talking about the Dominion machines, and is that the reason why I lost the election? I don't think so, right? To be forward, obviously, for those of you who supported me in the election, let me give you some warm and fuzzy news. And that news is I did better than the election results showed. That's the good news. Was it enough to win? I don't think so. I don't think it was. I was watching polling throughout the entire time, and I never remember polling above 11%. And that was not only my polls, that was Republican and Democrat polls from inside after the election, they told me. Like, I was getting that information already from other people who were in other campaigns who liked me. They were already feeding me that information. But afterwards, it was confirmed. I never polled higher than 11% on any poll, which is still amazing. 11% is awesome. But that was my max on any poll. I never got past that. I actually averaged around 6%, maybe 7% was where I kind of averaged in that area. 6, 7, 8% is what I actually averaged across the state. So the odds that I actually won, I think are slim. The polls usually aren't off by that much. The poll would have to be off by 45%. So I don't think it's off by that much. Actually, I need a third, so off by about 30%. I don't think it's that far off is what I mean. So I don't think that I won. I don't think Dominion was the reason why I lost. I don't think that's true. I think the reason I think I did better than expected. And here's the reason why. For those of you who don't know, the ballot, I was the only candidate on the second row, right? On the second column. Meaning the machines that went through, they weren't programmed to read the second column at all. They weren't changed. No one changed the machines. So they only read the first column. So second column wasn't read. So if you checked Larry Sharpe, it was registered as a blank vote. There were about 100,000 blank votes. A big chunk of those are mine. 100,000 people don't walk to the election booth on a 2018 midterm election to vote for governor and not vote for governor. That's not what happened. So there's a bunch of those that were mine. The second thing is I was the only candidate. This was all done on purpose. They didn't need Dominion to screw me over. That the ballot did it, and we asked them to change it, and they told us no because BOE says we're in charge, go to hell. So I was the only person in the same row as someone else, Stephanie Miner. Stephanie Miner was part of the SAM party. SAM is not a party. That's a made-up thing they just made up. But people who saw that voted, some of them voted for both of us thinking that she was my running mate because we're in the same line. So they voted for both of us. That's 2 votes for 1. So if the machine could read both, it was a voided vote. 2 votes, a voided vote. No vote. It's a voided vote. If it could only read 1, then it only read her. So she got my vote. So she got 50-some-odd thousand votes. There were over 100,000 blank votes, over 100,000 voided votes. So odds are I got another 200,000 votes. So I probably actually got about 300,000 votes, which is amazing, but not enough to win. So I don't think I lost because of Dominion. I do think I probably actually got about 300,000 votes. That's what I believe. I have no proof of this. This is just my opinion. Take it for whatever you want. If you supported me in New York State, I hope that gives you a warmer, fuzzy feeling that we did better than expected, better than you thought. I hope that makes you feel better, but that's all it does. It doesn't give me the election. It's not worth suing. It's just, we did much better, right? So we actually got almost what, 4%, give or take. Is that about right? We got about 4% of the vote, not 2%, got about 4%, maybe 5% of the vote is my assumption in that area. Because I was polling around 6, 7, 8%, which means I should have pulled around 3 to 4% of the vote. That's how it usually works. So, and even at my best, if I did my best, I wouldn't have gotten more than 6% of the vote. At my best, because the third parties tend to get about half of what they poll. So my highest polling was 11%. My highest. It wasn't the norm. That was my peak. So even at my peak, I would have only gotten 6%. So I don't think I would have won. I hope that was clear for those of you who were asking about that. Many of you gave that same question. I hope that was real. So, all right. Let's see. Who was your least favorite president? Without question, Andrew Johnson. Andrew Johnson ruined America by making Reconstruction so bad that we are still paying for it now. His horrible Reconstruction after the Civil War is what basically made apartheid happen in the South and segregation happen in the North. And that wasn't fixed for 100 years. And even that, every oppressed person in America now copies the Black or African-American model, which is not an accurate model for every minority in America. Each minority group is separate and different and unique on its own. Minorities are not a monolith. The Black population is a monolith either. But you can't add all the rest together. And it's made things bad for everyone. Andrew Johnson, without question, and he was impeached. He was a terrible president. He was our worst. Hope I answer. Oh, and congressmen. I don't know. All of them. I don't know. There's too many of them for me to hate. I don't know. They're bad. They're all just bad. I can't answer the congressman one. I'm sorry. President, I hope I did answer. Yes. What I like about your campaign is you make it an invitation for people from other views to join. Yes. Yes. Absolutely yes. I am greedy, Mr. Washington Werewolf. I am greedy. I want 7 billion libertarians. Yes, all of them. I don't want to fight the left. I don't want to fight the right. It's not what I want. I want them all to join me. I follow the Abraham Lincoln old saying, which is, if I make my enemy my friend, I have destroyed my enemy. So come on in. Yes, come on in. So, all right. Let's see here. I hope Libertarian Party has enough signatures for Larry to run against the king. One thing Libertarian Party is really good at. We are bad at a lot of things. Sadly, our movement's bad at a lot. But one thing we're really good at is getting on the ballot. That's our skill set. Gathering signatures, getting on the ballot. No matter what they do, we're good at that. If any group can do it, it's us. So I think we can. Plus, we still have a lawsuit. I'm hoping the lawsuit works. I tend not be a fan of lawsuits, but I'm hoping that it will work. And I hope it will. So, yes. All right. Let's see if I can keep going here. If we didn't have certificate of need laws and over FDA regulation, we would have been prepared for COVID. Yes, Melinda. You are correct. We would have been prepared. And the government should have never told people masks were pointless in the beginning. Yes, the government should have done, and I've said this 1,000 times, and I'll keep saying it. What the government should have done has been very open and forward. We're not sure yet. And the government, I think, local particularly, maybe the federal government might have known more. I don't know what they knew from China that I'm unsure of. But locally, at least, the local governments didn't know everything yet back in January and February. And they should have just said that. They should have said, look, we're not sure if these masks work or not. Here's what we know, what we don't know. What we know for sure is if you're over 65 with a pre-existing condition, this can kill you. That we know. The rest, we're not sure. We're not going to call everything a super spreader event when they just made that up. None of that's true. We're not going to say that. We're not going to say masks are no good or masks are good. They're going to say, here's what we think. We think this type of mask will help. That's what we think. Here's the data on it. Here's what other people are saying about masks. And here's how you can get masks if you want them. Here's what the CDC says we should do in retail. Here's what other people say you should do in retail. Guys, good luck. As we find the more information, we'll let you know. We'll update you to what we know to be true and not. We're going to start creating credentialing that if you follow our rules, we give you a stamp so that the people will know that you are following the most recent government guidelines. If you don't want that stuff, you don't have to have. I'm not going to shut you down. But if you don't want to have it, don't. If the people trust the government, then they won't go in your store. They'll go in your store. If they don't, then they don't. And we're also going to allow other people to have stamps also. And let's figure out how to make this thing work. Imagine if we had done that. Changes everything. Absolutely. Arguing with people online has become a national pastime. Yeah, you're pretty much true. Yeah, that's true. I wish it wasn't. Yes. Thanks for answering my question. Of course, I'm trying to get to everyone. I get overwhelmed, but I try to get to everybody. I'll be bringing on an engineer by January who will help me cover all these things. This is one of the reasons why I'm always bugging you for money and trying to get sponsors, because so I can get people to do this stuff for me. I need help, And I'm hoping that we'll have that happen too. See, I'm going to be a job creator, Kendall. See that? Thank you guys for everything you're doing. Yes. All right. Capitalism, this is the way. I would agree. I'm with you. Absolutely. Larry, do you think Trump will create his own political party to break from the Republican Party? I don't. I think that Trump will stay a Republican. That's my gut. I think he's still going to have a lot of control and power within the Republican Party. You know, just because Trump loses this election doesn't mean all of a sudden everybody hates him, right? Most of the line Republicans, a lot of the establishment not, but a lot of line Republicans, a lot of them still support Trump. I think it's still like 70% or something like that. There are tons of Republicans, mainstream line Republicans, who still support Trump. Some of them are going to walk away when other Republicans come to the front. That's true. That's normal, right? When he's no longer president, a chunk of those are going to go away. I don't know how big that chunk is, 10%, 30%. I don't know what that number is. But a bunch will come off because they're going to go to whoever the new cool guy is or who wants to be cool or run the party or whatever. That's going to happen, right? But he's still going to have a big chunk. I mean, he's going to have at least minimum 40% support in the Republican Party. At least. That's the lowest he's going to have. He might have more, but have at least that. So he's not just going to go away. Why would he create his own political party when the Republican Party's got at least 40% support? He will be a kingmaker locally still, right? He'll be able to go to a state and support someone running for something here or there or whatever. He'll do some of that. I think he'll still make money. He'll probably, go back into media. That's what he's good at. He'll go back to that until he wants to run again in 2024 or something. And there's nothing else he can run for. He can't run for governor of Florida. Is that what he's going to do? Run for governor of Florida? Maybe, I guess he could do it. Maybe. But I don't think so. So that's what I think. Yes. Worst POTUS was Woodrow Wilson. Bad. I don't think worse, but bad. Yes, up in the he's in top 10. 100% top 10. Yep. See if I can find something here that I don't. Okay, yeah, okay. So best president ever for me, that would be Gerald Ford. He wasn't there long enough to accomplish anything. I fell out of Air Force One. Shelley, I gotta put him. Then you're right. He's also he's top 5. Absolutely, he's top 5. 100%. Yes. So that's good. I like that. Now, are you the new guy, Ace? I love it. You're taking over the Republican Party. I love it, brother. I love it. If we get, when I had Austin Peterson on here, a lot of people got angry at me. They didn't like Austin Peterson being on. It's fine. I have everybody on to include Austin. Austin had an idea, which I think he's right on the situation. I'm not sure the outcome is going to be what he wants. I actually hope he's right. And what I mean, what he says is, he says now the Republican Party is going to break up kind of into 3 different groups. One group is going to be more of the populist group, which is really still led by Trump. I think that's right. And my gut says that's at least 40% of the party, meaning of the actual Republican voters. The elite status of the Republican Party, the leadership, I think is going to abandon Trump after January. I think that the establishment leadership is going to abandon Trump. That's my gut. They're gonna be like, Trump, who? They're gonna just kind of forget about him. But the average person, I think, is actually going to the average Republican. I think many of them are still going to support Trump. My gut is 40% is what I think, but we'll see. But there's another chunk of the Republican Party which is going to go back to the old school Republican Party, more of the neocon style, more of the H.W. Bush style Republican. And there are a lot of Republicans who like that, particularly establishment. They really like that kind of Republican Party, right? So there's another chunk. I don't know what that chunk is. Is that 20%, 30%? I don't know what that chunk is going to be. Then there's the third chunk, which is the more of the libertarian wing of the party, more like the Masseys and the, to a certain extent, Mike Lee, that type, right? He thinks it's going to break into those 3. He believes Tea Party 2.0 is the best chance of having the Liberty side take over and be more powerful in the Republican Party. I hope he's right. I don't know if he's right or wrong. My gut says it's not going to work because it hasn't in the past. That doesn't mean it's not going to work. But that, I think, is what Austin Peterson is trying to achieve. He wants that to be like the part that grows, right? That's what he believes out of the three. I think he's right. I think that is going to be the breaking up of the Republican Party. The Republican Party's in 3. Democratic Party's broken in 2. The old school people who are really happy Biden's president are like, yay, we're going back to the Clinton years. We're bombing people again. Come on. That's the good old days, right? That part of the Democratic Party, right, is in charge now, and they're happy. And the other part is more of the Bernie side, the more AOC side of the party. They're not happy right now. They really want more power in the party, and they don't have it. So I think that's what we're breaking up right now. That's how I see it. I think Austin's right. Look at the Republican Party. We'll see what happens. I hope his part wins, right? And if the Republican Party was more like Austin Peterson, that's not a bad Republican Party. Not bad. I'll take that. I wish we had a Republican Party that was more like Austin Peterson and a Democrat Party that was more like Tulsi Gabbard. If we had that, it's not bad, right? I mean, there'll still be Republicans, Democrats. They're not libertarians. But if that's our competition, not bad. I can deal with it. I'll deal with it. Again, still Democrats, still Republicans, but not bad. So, Larry, thank you for everything you do. We need honest and reasonable people like you in the political world. Thank you. St. Lawrence King Sharpe. No. If anything, maybe you can make me Lord Protector, right? I don't want to be that king stuff. I'm kidding. Some of you know the Lord Protector piece. But yes, it's a inside baseball. Thank you. Andrew Jackson's first run for POTUS was stolen. He spent the next 4 years creating a political movement, then won it. Trump needs to do that, and the movement that Jackson made was the Democratic Party. Make you think. Well, I think either party can work depending upon where you are at that time, right? Absolutely. Depending upon where you are at that time. Either one can work. Absolutely. So the establishment GOP abandoned Trump 4 years ago. No, but they jumped back on board, William. They did. When he actually won, they were like, Trump, we've always loved you. They went right back on the Trump train. You're right. They were off it. When Trump was first running, establishment GOP was like, Trump is crazy. To hell with him. We don't want. He's not a Republican. All that stuff. Then he won and was popular. They were like, Trump, my brother. They loved him all of a sudden. Now, that's what I'm saying. They're being good to him now for only one reason. The Georgia special elections in January, right? They know if they piss off Trump supporters, they may not show up in Georgia. Democrats win the Senate. But after that election's over, they're going to be like, Trump who? Did we have a Trump? I don't remember. Trump. Who's that guy? The leadership is just going to forget about him. But the average Republican, a lot of Republicans still like Trump. He's not going away. He's not going away. So I took the quiz and landed libertarian. I'm not surprised, brother. I am not surprised. Absolutely. Yes. Republicans need to know that the old GOP is dead. The future's libertarian. I hope they get that, Sam. I do. I hope they get that. Support for Trump is huge. I think 40%'s lowball, but since his base is still growing. Shelley, but I think after January, it'll go down. I think today, you're totally right. Right now, Trump support is still at least, with Republicans, that is, at least 70%, right? At least 70% within the Republican Party right now. I totally agree with you. What I'm saying is after it's all over, there's going to be other Republicans who start going to the top and start, I'm the new guy. I've got the answer. I'm going to fight the Democrats. They're going to all start coming to the top. And Trump's going to start losing some. I don't know how many he'll lose. I'm saying I think 40 right now in my head, 40% is probably his basement. He could go higher, but some are going to come off over time. 3 months, 2 months, 4 months in that area, I think you'll see people begin to go off and go, oh, no, I love whatever. Ted Cruz or whoever is the new, superstar Republican guy, whoever that person is. That was my point. I didn't mean now. I think now you're totally right. Most Republicans still support Trump right now. So, yes. I tagged your page in a post in a post about a few New York City mayor candidates. Should have them on your show. Not a bad idea. I love that. Thank you. Yes, absolutely. I love that idea. 100%. Yes, Austin brought me to the LP. They need to get off his back. Well, I don't agree with all his ideas. Still a good dude. I agree. I was never anti-Austin. People are anti-Austin. They're mad at him. I never was. Like, you know what? It's fine. He did what he thought was best and move on. It's all good. I endorsed him when he ran in the primary in Missouri. I still support him. If he can come back if he wants to. He's not gonna. He's not gonna. But we need people who are going to be able to be aggressive and forward, and who debate well and who are fearless. We need lots more of those, right? We don't have enough candidates who are good at that. We do have some. We don't have anywhere near enough. We need a whole lot more. Absolutely. So, guys, I want to say thank you so much for today. I appreciate everything you did, all the time you spent. Please remember to like, comment, and share this once it's done. And of course, if you've got some cash, come support me over at patreon.com/Sharpe Way. $10 is fine. If you got the big dollars and you're rolling the dough, throw me $100 a month, man. Let me get my my engineer and get my film editor and get all these things so I can grow this show even more. Throw that cash at me if you got it. If you don't, no worries. As always, theadvocates.org. Head over there, pass that test around. Keeps my sponsors happy, supports the show without having to give me any cash. And if you are a CBD user, I hope you'll head over to Grown Selection, make a purchase there versus someplace else. Support a libertarian-owned business and support my sponsor by putting in Sharpe Way 20 for 20% off. Guys, thank you so much. I will see you all very soon. In fact, I will see you all tomorrow.